Going live with Get Virtual with celebrity host, promoter, producer, philanthropist, and amazing friend, Oliver X, stepping in to co-host with me today. Thank you so much for being on Get Virtual.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for having this community service to keep us connected during this time, these uncertain times. It's great to still feel connected this way, and nobody's better at this than you.
Well, I think a beautiful thing is that we haven't actually seen each other.
I know.
How long? Because obviously we're so busy, going here, doing this, doing that. So
couple years.
Literally an email from you 2 days ago, and
yeah.
Then here we are, and I can see you right here connected. That's a good feeling.
It is. Thanks to technology for this type of opportunity, for sure.
Silver lining in everything, and we have an amazing story to share today, a Reno love story, right?
We do. We have Beth McMillan, Executive Director of Artown, is going to join us, and we're going to talk about the panel today. The panelists are all in the arts in some capacity, either as artists or supporters of the arts, including Annie Zucker, Beth McMillan, Annie Zucker from Renown, and then artist Jeff Schomburg, who's a very prolific artist and who has done incredible work here in our community and has made international fame from the work that has been created here in Northern Nevada.
And to be able to see how love is literally streaming through the community,
yes,
through the arts, and using that as a platform for just a community healing is incredible. So Beth, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks a million for doing this. This is amazing.
Excellent. Beth, working with local artists is something to expose and celebrate local artists is something that you do, community artists. That's what Artown is all about. Talk about how important it is to support our community artists.
Well, I think that, everybody loves Artown, but the one thing that I think people don't really know, and it's fine because everything's sort of put on the same platform, is that 90% of Artown, or 450 of the 500 events, are produced, put on, and organized by our local arts industry. We bring in, nationally and internationally, about 10%. So it all gets put onto the same playing field, so to speak. But without our local arts industry, Artown would not be. We rely on our arts industry to really make that happen. And then there are great partners like the City of Reno, the Nevada Arts Council, and other entities that provide grants to our local arts organizations so that they can get some funding to do their Artown event. Because the one thing Artown is not is a funding organization.
Indeed. Artown is of, for, and by the artists themselves overwhelmingly. And it has been a great vehicle and platform for exposition, even impacting local businesses. Talk about that, because Artown is not just in Wingfield Park and Bartley, it's at 100 plus venues in the city.
It is. I mean, really, not only are artists employed, but, we hire printers to do all of our printing work. We know that all the businesses right around Wingfield Park, July is their Christmas because they're so busy. And we know the economic impact of this festival is tremendous because most of Artown is free. It really provides people the opportunity to go and spend money either at a museum or at a restaurant or, go to a bar or spend their money elsewhere while they're in Reno. We know that people come in for the entire month of July. They rent a house or they stay in a hotel or and they can have 31 days of arts and not spend a nickel on the arts because it's all accessible and inviting and welcoming. We provide a very welcoming environment for everyone. So from the audience perspective, what really helps the artists is that our audiences in Reno have become so much more sophisticated and knowledgeable about the arts. And so their expectation of artists and of what we offer is really elevated. Everybody now has an opinion, and I love it because the conversation continues and is really robust at this point.
Now, with this new current environment, how is Artown adapting or looking to adapt to this virtual environment and the things that you're doing with the organization?
So what we've done is fortunately we're in July, which gives us a little bit more time than some of the other organizations. We have pushed all of our deadlines back so that we can make a final decision on a go or no go with Artown as we know it, around the beginning of June. But we do have a steering committee made up of board members to talk about, if that is a no-go, there will still be an art town, but what does it look like? And how is that? Is it, how is it made up of different arts, and how is it put forward to the audiences? So that is all in process. So the two are sort of working in tandem. We're hoping to get Oliver and the whole marketing team our marketing team of one, are laying out the little book as we know our marketing materials. As though we have a go in June. But if we have a no-go, then we don't go to print with that, and we put plan B, which is the steering committee's options that we talk about that are ongoing right now, depending, every day it's changing.
Mm-hmm.
So there'll be something in July. We just don't know how it will be, or where it will be, or in what format it will be. But this is a time. The community is so great to Artown that this is a really, really important time for Artown to be there and give back to our community. We're totally committed to bringing people the love, as we will talk about today, but through the whole month of July.
Beth McMillan, Executive Director of Artown, with us on Get Virtual. Love this platform, by the way. We're learning new skills in these unprecedented times.
Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't.
No doubt. Beth, this is new territory for everybody, artists, the community. Our entire planet is being affected by the circumstances that we all know that we're going through. Talk about what a message of love means and what art means during times like these.
Well, I think, so it's sort of two things, but it's also one thing. I think that art is very, very comforting. If you are on social media of any kind, people are creating, whether they're baking, that's creating, whether they're actually painting something or sewing something, a mask, or, using different fabrics. There you go. Yeah. People are creating at a time like this, and that creating is really right at the essence of what art is. And I really believe we're all art makers of some kind. And people are putting art in their windows. As people walk by, they can see art. Art is used as really a comfort tool and a healing tool at a time like this. And I know art is not considered an essential business, but it is essential to our well-being right now, all of us. And so that's the art part. The love part is, I see that people are being so kind to one another. We're really helping the elderly in our community. We're helping those who are less fortunate. People are driving meals around. People are going and picking up meals at local restaurants to help them. Everybody's helping each other. And I feel like the love of our community and for our community is really coming through individuals, and it really is being heartfelt by everyone. If you see somebody without a mask, it's like you worry about them. I mean, we see people all the time, and nobody worries about anybody else as you're walking around. There's this big concern about our fellow human being. And when people are walking, I walk on the trails up by my house, there's always this nod as you pass by, keeping your distance from somebody of, we got this. And I just feel like there's always this, everybody's feeling that. And so love and art are both essential right now.
Couldn't agree more. And now I think this is a solid transition to be able to showcase and highlight and debut this love story that's happening in Reno right now.
Lovely.
Totally. Joining us now will be Annie Zucker of Renown, and we're going to talk about how Artown and Renown combined and got together to install the love sculpture right on the campus, right on their main campus at 1155 Mill Street, where everybody along Mill Street and along Ryland Street can see it in their going and coming of vehicular and pedestrian traffic, as well as patients, doctors, physicians, and the whole entire nursing staff can really see this sculpture and be moved by it. Welcome, Annie. Talk about how this collaboration and partnership with Artown formed.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
So, you know, we get on a call every morning with my team. There's about 20 people on my team, and my boss kind of mentioned that we need to do something to make sure that the visitors feel uplifted, our staff who's working tirelessly, caregivers could feel just a little bit of the love that the community felt for them and is showing to them outside of the walls when they enter and when they leave every day. And so we kind of talked about our facilities team putting up Christmas lights on the campus, which then led to my first phone call to Beth McMillan to say, all right, let's do this. Let's, you know, because we were thinking about how, yes, if you were walking in and out of the building every day, you'd be able to see those lights. But for those who are in those walls, how can we get some love to them? And so we thought about, well, what about Pickett Park? And can we broadcast something into Pickett Park? And that's really where the conversation with Beth and I started was, you know, can we do a performance in the park every night? But then if they can't hear, so then can we do lights that do this and that? And, you know, a few phone calls with some people, and finally just the cost also, you know, trying to work within a budget, was to put on an event one time we didn't feel like was impactful enough. So we said, you know, can we do a month worth of programming? Well, that's going to get just outrageous in a cost. And also another barrier when we're talking about unprecedented times is how we got something that scale with only having the ability to have a couple of people around each other at one time. We're supposed to be social distancing. So how can we do a performance while social distancing? And so there were a lot of things that we had to think about. And Alexis Hill over at the City of Reno is just incredible and has such a pulse on the community and understanding who the artists are and what might be in warehouses somewhere. She said, call Jeff. Jeff Schomburg is the guy to call. So within an hour, I called Jeff and I said, what letters do you have? What do you have sitting around, you know? And who would have ever thought that he would have had the love sculpture there ready to go, not really debuted except for at Burning Man. And he said, I can have it up this weekend, you know? And then we said, oh, can it light up? Oh yeah, it can light up and it can be purple too. So it was just one of those things that what started out was something that when I called Beth, I said, we are crazy. How can we do this? It became so easy. And then where the placement of it is became even easier. It's meant to be in that spot. It really is.
Oh yeah.
In the pictures of it, or if you were there last night, it looks like it was supposed to be there. It really was.
Totally.
It's a beautiful space for it. Yeah.
Annie Zucker from Renown on Get Virtual. We're speaking about the love sculpture, and the word love is unique because it is one of the rare power words that is called an autological word, a word that is what it means, and it is the embodiment of itself in self-definition. And that is a reverberant, meaningful totem, and almost like a mantra. It is the universal energy of the world, and it is such a beautiful gesture and a reminder that love heals.
Absolutely. And that vibration of love, I would love to hear from Jeff what it was like to be able to install your sculpture, that representation of healing in front of Renown Health.
Well, hi team. Thanks for having me on. I think that location is a great spot for that sculpture.
No doubt.
Like everybody says, we all need some love right now. And I think that a 10-foot tall, 40-foot long love is a pretty big slice of it for everybody. So I'm happy to have it there.
Jeff Schomburg on Get Virtual. Jeff, each letter took you 3 to 4 weeks to make. Talk about the fabrication process.
Well, I've been creating those for a number of years now, those large scale letters, along with Laura Kimpton.
Yes.
Her and I have been collaborating. It's basically a pretty straightforward method I have now. I have the panels stamped out by a facility in Sparks. They stamp out the bird. And then I get those panels and I start fabricating the boxes or the frames that the panels go on. And it's kind of multiple steps from there.
Jeff, talk about the birds that are stamped out literally in negative space on the actual sculpture. There's a story behind that.
Right. Way back when Laura and I started to talk about doing some large scale letters, I wanted to perforate the skin with a pattern because I always envisioned lighting them from within. And Laura suggested that we use that bird symbol, which represents her father. When her father passed away, a flock of sparrows went past the window. So she's been using that image in her art for years. And since we've been using that in those large scale words, it's become sort of like a recognizable image that, so if someone sees that bird, they kind of know it comes from those letters. And I've actually gave a bunch of them to Renown, and hopefully they're going to do something with them, perhaps give them to some patients or hand them out to the doctors or nurses as having a piece of the sculpture to take home with them.
That's great. Oh my gosh.
That is special. Annie, how is the staff and patients, what's their response been from your observation so far?
Last night was the first time that we were down there when we lit it up, and it was, we were trying to be very aware of social distancing, so we didn't invite a lot of people out. We did it virtually, but we did have some of our team come down that were kind of going off of a shift or in their breaks. And we all had masks on, but you could feel the appreciation. You could feel the passion that they had and the emotion that they had to come out and see what the community has been talking about. The community wants to show their love for these caregivers, and our caregivers want to show their love back to the community for doing what they've asked. They've asked us to stay inside. They've asked us to adhere to social distancing. They've asked us to help our neighbors. They've asked us to do all of these things. And just as much as they feel appreciated, they are so appreciative, and Renown is so appreciative of the community for doing what they need to do right now. It's very difficult. It's very difficult for us to stay inside. Like you talked about, the mental health aspect is very difficult, especially for some of these employees with families that they haven't seen in weeks because they've been responsible. And I saw our caregivers for the first time last night in weeks, and those are my teammates. And so, my brother and my, I'm getting a little bit teary eyed right now, but my brother and my sister-in-law are both physicians there, and we haven't seen them. And so, this opportunity to go virtual is a huge gift for all of us to stay connected virtually, and what it has meant to our staff to be able to go into work and energize with the love, know that they have the power to go in and do what they need to do to get through the next 12 hours, and then go home and see that on the way out and know exactly why they're doing what they're doing every day is just tremendous.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we couldn't have done it. We couldn't have done it with anything but art.
Yeah.
Because this is the one thing that will be the regular for our team for the next 3 months. Who knows how much longer, but for 3 months, that is the one thing that they can look forward to on the way in and look forward to on the way out. So whatever happens every day with the entire community, if they need something to go look at that's going to be a regular thing for them, they can drive by Renown and see that love sculpture lit up. And that's the one thing that I'm so glad about how this worked out with Jeff, was that his words have meant a lot to our community anyways. Believe in City Plaza, home at the Aces Stadium.
Yeah.
We used home to tell people to stay home. We use that as a vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay home. We use Believe every day to tell the message of what our community is all about. And now we have love. So these three things that are just a message that will stay, as a guiding light for us for the next few months is great. So thank you.
Right on.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. Annie, this really is in line and in alignment with the art therapy missions of Renown. Can you talk about your art therapy programs? Because I want to give some love to that.
Yeah, so, Renown has actually had a healing arts program since 1991. It's been on the national stage. They presented at the Smithsonian on some of their therapies that they use and some of their projects. And those were all funded by our community. The healing arts program is run through the Renown Health Foundation. So that is our community wanting these things for our patients. And so for years, we've had music therapy, art at the bedside, pet therapy. So this is nothing new to Renown. We have Healing Garden. We actually have an expansion on the Healing Garden right now. We know that art heals, but really right now, this is also for our staff. And this is the first time that I really feel like that the staff of Renown is really getting to be a part of the healing arts program themselves. So
when you go into the halls of Renown, there are messages throughout every campus, and there are mantras, there are affirmations, there's images of hope. It is just a remarkable environment to be sick in. It really is.
There's good things that happen at Renown every day. The births, we forget about that. People have their best times in their lives at Renown as well. But people do go through their worst of times as well. And we know that art transcends anything, and that it's the one thing that doesn't need a language. It can be understood by anybody in their own right. And, how people will interpret this love sculpture is going to be different for every person. So that's also something to think about, is that it doesn't have to be interpreted the same way. Everybody's going to interpret this and use it in their own way. And that's the beautiful thing about it.
And the one other thing is people may not know is that Renown has one of the top galleries that we have in this community. Their art portfolio that they have is unbelievable in all the different areas of the hospital. Yeah, and that was very specifically done when the new wing was built.
Yeah, it's the second largest collection in the state of Nevada originally.
Yeah. And Jeff, to be able to hear these stories and to be able to feel this energy, I just would like to tap into what you're thinking and what you're feeling. And was this the intention? Was this more than you could have imagined? Is this just the beginning?
Well, this is definitely more than I imagined for this sculpture, to be part of such a big thing there at the hospital. It really warms my heart, and I hope that it warms other people's hearts as they walk past there or drive past. Last night when we were having the very strange opening for it, I have to say it's my first pandemic opening.
Right.
A random person pulled up, and she had two small children in the car, and she parked, brought her kids out, put them in the sculpture, and took pictures with them, and then left. And I think it's starting to do its thing already.
Hey, Jeff, I love all your sculptures. I love all your sculptures, but this one is, I'm biased, but it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's my favorite of them. It is gorgeous.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you like it. It's one of my favorites too.
Jeff, can you tell everyone about why you built this and where it's supposed to be right now and why it's not there?
Yes, this sculpture that's at Renown, the love sculpture, was originally intended for the World Trade Center, the new one. We had a gentleman there in New York that was a art representative of ours, and he was trying to get it placed on a outer deck that's on the 70th floor of that new building.
Wow.
So I created it, and the deal sort of fell through. We're still keeping our fingers crossed that it's going to happen. So that was created for that deck. Then we showed it at Burning Man last year, and now it's at Renown. So
It may never
the
leave.
good things.
I don't think the community will let it leave at this point in time.
It is scheduled to stay up until July 16th. And so people can go, they have time to go experience that and feel the energy that it emits, because it definitely is palpable.
Right.
And they can do it by social distancing. You can get
Yes.
a car, you can drive by it. Nobody needs to get out. Nobody needs to do anything. They can. Tonight actually is a car parade down Mill Street. We're encouraging people to come down, honk their horns, cheer for the clinical staff,
Yes.
see the sculpture. And to be honest, I think this is like the first social night for Reno in a long time. Even though we're telling people to really just stay in your cars, but it's something to do tonight. I was talking to the gentleman that runs Yelp, and I said, tonight's the night to encourage people to go maybe grab some food from a local restaurant that needs some support right now, and eat some dinner in your car with your family and take a drive down Mill Street. Take a drag down Mill Street.
Vacation at its best.
The love cruise, cruising.
That's right.
That's right. Jeff,
Thank you so much for.
Go ahead. No, sorry.
Oh, you've got the. We'll wrap this up right after your question with Jeff here.
Jeff, we can't leave out Laura Kimpton, your collaborator. You've been so prolific in your output. Talk about the unique relationship that you have.
Laura and I met many years ago at Burning Man.
Yeah.
And she saw that, I was doing steel art, and she's an artist herself. So she said, let's collaborate. And we started with a project that was called Celtic Forest, which was a 2-year project at Burning Man. It was actually shown in Reno, downtown, on the river next to the artist lofts.
Right.
And we had it there for, I think, almost a year with flame effects and all its glory. And then after that, we started with the large monumental word series. And the first one was Mom.
Oh,
Awesome.
Actually been bringing art, large words to Burning Man ever since. And Laura lives down in Venice, California now, but we still collaborate on these large projects together.
That's awesome. It's thank you for your work. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for letting me host with you.
Of course, my goodness. Look at this story that you brought to this platform, a resilient, powerful, energetic culmination of heart, drive, love, perseverance. It is so incredibly moving to see how everyone in the Reno community has band together to grow stronger, more impactful, and just more resilient as we come out of this together. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Thank you, Beth, Annie,
Thank you.
Jeff.
You.
Thank you so much. Be well and safe, everybody.
All right. You too. I'd like to say thank you to Beth and Annie for providing the opportunity to place that sculpture. I think it's a great thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone.
We'll go ahead, and Oliver will have some closing words to the show. My goodness.
Yes.
How moving. Bye, Annie. Thank you.
Yes. Things are going on. People are still creating during the pandemic. And there's something that's happening. I believe it's tonight. It's Feed Our Heroes. Talk about that.
Yes, Feed Our Heroes. Again, just another example of restaurants and businesses and organizations coming together to be able to promote and help our frontline staff, make sure that they still have the energy and the focus to heal our community and those who are suffering from COVID-19. So tomorrow, Saturday, there will be a live stream broadcast to support Feed Our Heroes, a network of restaurants that have come together to feed I think anywhere between 50 to 60 meals per shift in 6 different hospitals, 3 times a day. So tune into that broadcast. Their Facebook is Feed Our Heroes Reno. That'll be starting at 7 o'clock. Again, it's another example of some really cool things that are happening around the region.
Totally. And Eric Anderson, one of my favorites from the novelist, is playing. So that's going to be fun. And I want to remind people of a fundraiser at my radio station, KCKQ, a Lotus broadcasting station. The Always Live, Always Local campaign is happening right now. No amount is too small. We're raising money for the workers of Reno and those hardest hit and who might not be getting a stimulus check. They can check that out on the GoFundMe page, looking under Always Live, Always Local.
And if you have another story to share, be sure to email us at reno@planmygetaway.com. We would love to use this platform to be able to showcase and spotlight and amplify some of these incredible things that are happening around the area. And Oliver, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This will not be the last time we'll be on this show.
Thank you so much. I have dreams of us co-hosting stuff, and I always have. So thanks for letting me do that.
All right. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Stay well. Stay hopeful. Thank you.
You
all
too.
friends.
And thanks, Todd.
Bye.
Take care.
Amazing. Amazing.
I was getting choked up. I couldn't even. I was getting choked up big time, like 3 times during the thing. It was overwhelming to me.
Let's go ahead and bring them back on. Actually.
Oh God.
Yeah. I need
crazy.
a tissue. I actually have I'm like.
I saw you wiping away a tear. I mean, wow. That was just heavy. That was heavy.
Yeah. A beautiful.
And also light and also good.
So good.
I have to exhale from that. Thank you.
Here we have.
Thank you guys. Yay, everybody. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
And Annie, on to the next crazy idea, right?
Yeah. Me and we were talking, we got choked up.
Yeah.
It was hard sometimes to talk while Annie, you just brought the waterworks.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
I get the opportunity to do great things every day, so I'm very grateful.
Thank you all.
It was very powerful.
Yeah. Great show.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Okay. Thanks, folks.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much.
Have a nice
great
weekend, everybody.
Bye, you
All
too.
right.
All right.
Hey, thank you.
Drag.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
All right.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Cool.